What's up, everybody? Welcome to World at War Comics. Ryan, it's so good to have you back again. Last time we had you on, I think we talked a lot of Rogue Sun, which was a lot of fun. Maybe we could talk a little bit about issue 30, the little Spawn issue. That was pretty dope, man. I know you're a big fan of Spawn as well, so I'd love to, because I don't know. I think Spawn obviously has been mentioned. I know I have all the covers during that Spawn time, but man, I don't remember within either Rogue Sun or Radiant Black, has Spawn outside these last few issues, has he made appearances?
Yeah, he appeared. Well, Medieval Spawn. Medieval Spawn appears at the end of I think it was Supermassive 2023. Yeah, 2023. Yeah, at the very end, there's a moment where when one of the bad guy's dead, and Medieval. Sorry, spoiler. And then it's been out for 3 years. I feel like I can say that.
I think you're good, bro.
Yeah, I think we're safe. But Medieval Spawn comes up and like collects the body and like rides off, and so we sort of tinted at that, and then got to finally pay it off like 2 years later. So yeah, but that's the only time I think there's been an actual official anything with Spawn. I don't think it's been mentioned otherwise.
Yeah, I know. In Philadelphia, I had Rodney on. We were talking. He had Spawn on, and it's really unique when you're using that character within your comic book, because I know Todd has a lot of rules around protecting that Spawn. Like, how is that collaboration with Todd? And 2 years later, did you like in 2023 when we had that little blurb of Medieval Spawn, were you like working things out for 2 years later to bring it on? Why did it take so long? Or was just trying to fit it into Rogue Sun, all that other stuff?
Well, when we originally did that was sort of a handshake deal kind of thing, where it was like we talked to Todd, and then we're like, hey, is there any chance you'd be willing to just like have him be a cameo at the end? And he's like, sure. He's like, but there's no guarantee that we're gonna do anything with that. Like, I don't want, like, it was sort of like let's see how things work ourselves out. How's it gonna sell? What's the stuff? How are you guys? Let's see if you're around in 2 more years. So it was kind of that. But yeah, that happened, and then because what was funny is like we did that, and then we got a lot of people like asking over the course of like the next year or so, like, oh, is that what the next Supermassive is going to be? When are we going to pay that off? Like, what's the deal with that? And we just kept getting that question, and at some point we were like, okay, we can't ignore this anymore. And so I think it might have been New York Comic Con last year, maybe, or maybe even before that. It might have been before that. I don't remember. I think it was last year maybe. And Todd was walking down the hall, between the aisles and Artist Alley, and if you've ever seen Todd McFarlane walk through Artist Alley, you see it coming from miles and miles away. Because
you could hear it. You could sense the aura, right?
Oh yeah, there's like a roar and a slight hum, like an electric vehicle. No, it's just like all in the air. And so he came down, and Kyle had met him before, and so he was like, "Oh, do you want me to introduce you?" And I was like, "Sweet God, no! Please don't do that. I don't want to." And then he was like, he did it anyways, because God bless Kyle. And Todd, he goes, "Oh, this is Ryan." He writes, and Todd interrupted him. He was like, "Oh, Rogue Sun, yeah, I know." And I was like, "No, you don't. You don't know that. How do you know that?" And so we talked for just a brief second. And so when that happened, I think Kyle had bumped into him in the bar later that day and was like, "Hey, do you think there's any opportunity for doing this?" And so we called him up and had the conversation. And it happened really quickly, and I was actually standing right here on the phone with him when we called and like pitched the idea of just doing a one shot, because we had them. And I'm not gonna lie, look, when I created Caleb as a Medieval Rogue Sun, I might have been kind of hedging my bets a little bit, of like hoping maybe down the line there could be an opportunity, and it worked out. So we got very, very lucky, and Todd's very, very generous and an awesome guy. So
yeah,
pretty crazy. Yeah.
I think that's awesome, man. I don't know, man. Todd's had such an impact on so many people. I think when you get to a place where you're at and you have that opportunity to collaborate in that kind of a way, man, just as a fanboy, right, of obviously I'm born in the 70s, grew up reading comics in the 80s, and when those 90s hit, man, it just explosion, right?
Yep. I was like 14 when Image started, so like it was prime. It was prime. Like I was like, I think I bought every single book, first issue of every single one of those books. Like I bought like Troll and Glory and Super Patriots, and like I'm like, if it had Image on the top right corner, I probably bought it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the art was just so dynamic, right? God, I mean, it was dynamic when all the Image creators were at Marvel, but I just feel like there was just no limits. And of course, I think the writing, Image wasn't known for the amazing writing within their comic. It was all about art and just pages spilling over and panels spilling over. It just changed everything, and that effect still has it. I mean, I don't know. I think people realize that, but what Image did in the 90s has affected comics ever since. It's just incredible.
Oh, I mean, if you think about the fact that if Image hadn't done that, if Image hadn't left and gone and been like, you know what, all you need is a really great artist and like a cool idea, and you can make a book that sells as much as the characters that we already know and love. And we have been like, just think about all the books you wouldn't have if they hadn't done that. Not even counting superhero books. Like Massiverse obviously wouldn't exist, but like there's no Walking Dead, there's no Saga, there's no Invincible. None of that stuff exists if those guys don't leave and kind of go, you know what, you can go do this and you can be successful at it. And I think we got like, because of that, I think it actually probably raised the quality of comics across the board for years and years and years to come, because everybody was like, I remember hearing like, there was like a month or something in the middle where we're like they were like doing like a gimmick month in Image, and everybody was doing something crazy. And I hope this isn't disparaging. I don't mean it to be, but I think Todd was like, oh, I know a gimmick. I'll bring in writers. And like he brought in like special writers to do it because that was a gimmick. And I'm like, that's incredible. But like, it's just so funny how much it went from such a artist driven medium to such a writer driven medium, and like just over the course of the last 25 years or so. But like, yeah, I mean, I worship those guys. Like I worship Todd and Jim and Eric and Rob and all those guys and Silvestri. Like when I see them, I still like, they're like the Beatles to me. Like I still see, like I work for Comic Sketch Art, which is a sketch like a thing, and Mark Silvestri is like 2 booths down from me sometimes, and I'm just like still like, Cyberforce, dude, bought them all.
Yep. Well, now he has the Darkness coming back.
Exactly, yeah. And I think Witchblade just came back.
Witchblade, I think Witchblade's like on issue 18 now. Yeah.
And we just announced, I mean, obviously Youngblood's coming back to Image in the next, I think it was in November. And we just did, and Rob just let us do a cover. So Rogue Sun is going to have Youngblood on the cover for issue 32, I think, or 33. Yeah. So
I'm going to try and collect all the cover. I did it with Spawn, and when he on the anniversary did all the different covers throughout the entire Image universe. So
I got to do because I requested to do Medieval Spawn, Medieval Rogue Sun. Because look, I was hedging my bets, man. I'm like, I'm gonna will this thing into existence no matter what it takes. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, it obviously paid off, and issue 30 was a lot of fun as well of Rogue Sun. So congrats on that, man. But we're here today to talk about your latest title with Mad Cave. I think this is another publisher that's doing a lot of things right. I'm a big Mark London fan. I just think what he has done around Mad Cave, and then obviously some of the other things that they've done for like that teenage and those younger readers, and now Nakama Press with some of the anime and all that. It's just incredible what they're building over at Mad Cave. And some of the titles they're coming out with have been absolutely awesome. And man, I was able to read It Killed Everyone But Me and Ryan, man, especially leading up to like Halloween, man. I'm sure the timing had something to do with that, but it starts off, and the way it ends, though, you're just like, what I'd like to talk about before we jump into the actual issue one is like, when did you start forming this storyline? How long have you been sitting on it, and why now?
Oh, wow. I just to go what you said about Mad Cave, like Mike Martz, who's the editor-in-chief on it, or at least I think that's what his title is. He was the first editor I ever worked with in comics. Like he did Batman Gates of Gotham, and so I got to work with that. And then he also bought my first comic book, my first creator-owned book when he was at Aftershock, called Volition. And so it was so crazy that like I got to do another book there, and I was like, man, I just can't get away from you, dude. And but no, it's been an idea that I've wanted to do for God, I don't even know how long, forever. I love, as you said, growing up in the 80s and 90s, like I love those slasher movies with like the talky bad guys. Like I loved Scream, and I like Nightmare on Elm Street and Hellraiser and Chucky and all that stuff. Like I know Jason's cool, Michael Myers is awesome, but like they're stoic, quiet. But I just love villains who just love to mess with you and taunt you and just have one-liners. And so I was like, I want to create one of my own. I want to try and have my own. In the way I have my own superhero, I wanted my own supervillain.
Yeah.
And so, but I hadn't been able to figure out a way in for like a really long time. That was interesting to me. And I was trying to come up with something, and I was working on, and it just sort of sat. It's one of those ideas that it would sit there, and you'd come back to it every few years, and you'd be like, maybe I can figure out a way into that. And then I remember thinking, oh, wait a minute, what if? And I tried doing like a traditional like person in the cabin with like the psycho killer, and then the two ideas sort of like blended together. And I was like, oh, what if I did a story about what it would be like 20 to 30 years after surviving one of those things? Like, what's that like? What happens if you literally all your friends have been massacred, and now it's like you still live in the small town where everybody thinks that you might have had something to do with it? And I thought that's a really cool, interesting character. Because I didn't want to do another teenage girl. I just thought, okay, how do I do something that's not that? And so when I realized that, and I thought, okay, if that's the case, what if you beat this thing, but you couldn't kill it, and you just buried it away, and you just forgot about it, and you just moved on with your life, and then something comes that forces you to have to dig that thing back up and work with it and talk to it and have to like have a victim deal with their victimizer. And I thought that's a really neat. It's literally like, if we ever talk about trauma, it's like people bury their trauma. Well, she literally buried the bad guy. And I thought
for many years, right?
Yeah. And just like, and got all away with it and pretends that everything's okay and that she's great and everything. But obviously she's got problems at work. She's got issues with her kid. She's divorced. Like, it's clear something has been working in her world that is sort of like poisoned it a little bit. And so the idea is that you don't get to be the fully formed version of yourself until you actually deal with the things that you are buried away. And so that's what the story is about. It felt so figurative and literal at the same time, if that makes sense. I probably used that wrong, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just felt like a really fun idea. And I just thought, oh, like, you know, I remember I pitched it as like Nightmare on Elm Street meets Silence of the Lambs. And I was like, oh, that seems like that works. I feel like I can't go, I don't know if it's anywhere near either one of those two things, but it's fun to try and aim high. So
I mean, that's pretty deep too when you consider what she went through. It reminded me, you know, I'm a big Green Lantern fan, and Jessica Cruz. At least how it started. I know her stories changed in DC, but
yeah,
I don't know if you're a big Green Lantern fan. But you know, she's in the woods with some friends, and something absolutely horrific takes place, and that really defines who she is as a Green Lantern when she's chosen. And when I was thinking of Sutton, and I was thinking about that same type of a thing, here's this young girl that goes through this devastating thing, and I love the title because somehow she survives,
right?
And then was it like 20-30 years later, right? She has kids, she's divorced, and all of a sudden this same thing kind of takes place within someone else's experience, and then she's there at the way it ends too, where it's like confronted, right? I mean,
yeah,
like it all comes full circle for her, and you can only imagine like all those feelings and everything you've been suppressing all this time to now like come up and now be relived again. And how do you handle that as an adult as opposed to you know, 16, 18-year-old girl? I mean,
yeah, when she sees the heathen again, she is 16 again immediately, and like has no interest in being around that thing. But is like, what I like about it though is like she is facing it. Like she's trying really hard. Like most people would just be like, I'm good, I'm done, I'm not doing that. And she's doing her best, but it is hard. And she literally needs someone else sort of kicking and screaming to push her back into that room, because she knows it's the best thing to do. So it's like, I'm a fan of heroes that like, who, even though it's hard and they don't want to do it, like they reluctantly sort of pick themselves off the mat and do it again. And especially with somebody who, you know, did something horrible to you and knows the worst parts of you and can sort of like take those knife and twist it. And so that's all the next 4 or 5 issues are, is it's just about seeing him just play with her and try and make every day worse and worse. So, you know, it's fun. Those are fun characters to write. Those are fun. Writing characters who say the absolute worst thing in the world that you're thinking and that you're like, I can't get away with this, can I? Like that's what the heathen is.
Now, as far as a genre goes, like, I mean, you've done a lot of different genres. Do you have kind of a favorite genre, from superhero to horror to some of the other things that you've done? Is there like one that you like, this is the one I connect to the most, or is it not really about genre, it's more story, and wherever the genre lands from the story, that's where it lands?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have like a favorite genre. I think I'm like, it's so funny. Like I'm like everybody else. Like I like a little bit of everything, right? Like when I'm watching stuff, like I like the really heavy stuff, and then I'll be like, I want to watch a comedy or something like that. And every whatever I saw last, I want to do. Like if I saw a romantic comedy, I'm like, I want to write a romantic comedy. If I saw like a mystery, I want to do that, or a detective story. I'm always whatever is the last thing I saw. Like if I saw a play, that's all I want to work on. So like it kind of depends on what I would go through like on a binge, but I will say like I do sort of like, I enjoy like the supernatural horror element of it all, because I think what's really great about that genre is, and I think, look, I know what I just pitched is like, oh, it's a story about trauma and grief, and I'm like, as a fan of horror, as someone who just wrote one about that, I will say, like, I think it would be behoove the genre and myself to start trying to find themes that are not about grief and not about trauma. It'd be cool to find a horror movie that's not about that stuff. Like that's why I like movies like The Menu. I thought was a really, really great horror movie. Or like You're Next is a great one. Like not all horror movies need to be about a family losing a child and dealing with the grief of that. I like it and it's great, but they don't all have to be about that. So like I like that, but I do think there's something really fun. I remember Joss Whedon said something a long time ago about the way he wrote Buffy, was that he was like, I just took all of the worst issues that you're dealing with in high school, all of those insecurities and issues, and I just made them monsters. And I think that's what's so fun about horror, is you just take whatever problem your character's dealing with and just make it a monster, and that's what you get. That's what's so fun about that genre, is you get to externalize all the things we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, it definitely comes through, and I love that. Let's talk about the team real quick that you have, because the artist is pretty phenomenal, and you'll probably know her from House of Slaughter, which is a mega success for Boom. That whole line is incredible. Department of Truth. She also has worked on, but LETIZIA
Cadonici. Cadonici, yeah, Cadonici. LETIZIA, I always get it wrong, but I don't know if she can say parrot, so we're okay. But LETIZIA Cadonici, yeah.
Is she's from Italy, right? She's an Italian artist, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She changed the so when she came onto the book, it was gonna be much more grotesque, I guess is the word. Like we were gonna go way more with the gore. And then she came on the book, and the way she draws eyes and the way she just draws, like she can stare through, like you look through her books and it's like the characters are staring through you. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to tone this thing down a little bit and make it more. And we really made it more personal and smaller. And so it's one of those fun things where you have an idea what the book's going to be in your head, but until you actually get an artist, it's not real yet. It's just like, it's this sort of moving art tapestry. And then when they come in, all of a sudden it like locks into place. And so it can change the way you craft the story. And LETIZIA did that for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always ask this question, and I might have asked you last time, but what does that collaboration look like with your artists when you are creating a story like this? And as far as working with someone in a different country, what does that look like? Is it tougher, or are you just dealing with that all the time anyways?
I've worked with a lot of artists from other countries. I've worked with a lot of Italian artists. I've worked with a lot of French artists. I think some from South America. Like I've worked with everybody. I'd be shocked if there's actually finding an American artist is actually surprisingly hard. So it's always different. But the fun part about it is it can really bring like a different style and interest to the book. And so I think there's always a little bit of a language barrier, but not like terrible. It's usually pretty. It just forces you to be a little bit more specific about things, and it does require like a little bit more. You get a little bit of time. It's like that first, like just so that's what usually we start with character designs and stuff like that. Like I remember it was her idea to bring in the red coat. She really wanted something to have like a signature red coat, and she was like, I thought what I liked about it. We were talking about the character, and she was like, she's somebody who's gone through a lot. She's gonna project an image that she's always great and she's always strong, and so she's going to wear a very strong, striking color to basically be like, I'm out there, I'm good, don't worry about me. She's not going to wear dark blacks and grays. She's not going to hide. She's going to do that. And I was like, oh, she was a very thoughtful thing. It's a tiny thing, but it's cool. And then the way the Heathen, when we went through the Heathen, I think we went through probably like 6 or 7 designs on the Heathen, because we both were just trying to find what it wanted to be. And I think at one point we were like, we've seen a lot of really scary people. Like, what if there was something kind of beautiful about him? What if he's more like Lestat the vampire and less like Freddy Krueger, and that could make that transformation, like that could give him somewhere to go. We could go from being, he's pretty too right in your face, sort of dark. There was a BBC show that I loved called Jekyll. If you've ever seen it, with James Nesbitt. Oh, it's awesome. If you like the Dr. Jekyll story, it's BBC. It's with James Nesbitt. And it is one of the most fun. I shouldn't have told you about it, because if you watch it, you're going to be like, oh, he's just writing his own version of Jekyll. It's like, yeah, that's what I did. But like, I really love those like playful villains, and he plays Jekyll so well. But I love that stuff. And So yeah, so that's the way you kind of go back and forth, and you just find the things that excite them and the things that excite you. I think the other fun thing about working with some, like when you work with an artist anew, is like you make assumptions in your head about like what a character should look like or be, and then they have like a totally different version, and they give it to you, and you're like, oh, yeah, let's do that. That's fun. Like, and so like it's really neat the way that it's sort of cool. Like you kind of filter everything through the lens of an artist, and it comes out a totally different thing that is both not at all what you wanted and exactly what you wanted. Just kind of fun. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with you, I'll share my screen with issue 1. We'll go through a few pages if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So people could check it out. The cover looks pretty awesome as well. So bear with me. I am old. Let me get this going here. Make sure I pull up the right thing too.
It's issue 2. Oh no.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Right on. So here's the cover for It Killed Everyone But Me. I will make sure I put the lunar codes down below. So if you're watching this and you do want to check this out, please get that lunar code, go to your LCS and let them know that you want this if they don't already have it already. Like I said, issue 1 is already out in stores right now. So issue 2 will be coming out. But you have that lunar code, so just give that to your store and they'll be able to order that for you and put that in your pull box. That way you have this. Now, Ryan, I know Mad Cave normally does like 5 or 6 issue arcs, even if they're long term. Is this going to be like 5, 6 issues this first ideation?
Yeah, I think it's 5. We do 5 to start. Yeah, like it's funny. I pitched them like, okay, we could do it all in one if you want. And they're like, no, slow down. They're like, put that like, but it's a full thought. Don't get me wrong, but it's we wrote it in a way where I know where the story can go if I want it to do. It's also going to be more of a. It's sort of like if you watch Batman Begins, like that's both an ending and the continuation of a promise. So that's the way we do it. It's like it's definitely a fully thought, but we have ideas for future installments.
Yeah, nice. I love it. And it could go in a lot of different directions, right? Because in issue 1, obviously you have the tragedy that she went through, but later we know there's another tragedy with different characters, and then the impact that has on that community all these years later. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of direction you could go.
Yeah, the idea is to sort of like the heathen in some ways is sort of, I guess I would call him like a guide into a different sort of universe, or not a universe, but like a guide into a different, darker world. Like there's a lot more stuff going on besides where he came from, where this new entity came from, how they react to our world, what they all are. Like it's sort of that thing. Like he's sort of opening the door for her and for other characters in the story. So it's designed to sort of be a larger, darker world. I guess the best way to say it, man.
I love it. I love it.
Sorry. I was looking at the picture and I'm like, oh, I just realized you put the TH on the tree there that I didn't see that.
Yeah. A little subtle, but awesome right here.
Yeah. The heathen. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So we jump right in. It's 1996. And you can kind of see a little bit of the aftermath already jumping in.
Yeah, I'd imagine this from the beginning. I always liked the idea of just like the opening is just the absolute destruction and death of a situation where you just like walk in and there's like an eye on the wall and a hand slap and there's footprints on the ceiling and you're like, what the hell happened in here? And the idea of just one girl sitting in the middle of all of it, covered in blood, just staring back at you. And I was like, that's always been the opening since the beginning before I wrote this for like 10 years. And then we get like the fun thing of, I do hate the fact that like, we flash back all the way to 1996, and I'm like, God, I'm getting old. And exactly. What was it even like back then? It's just like, yeah. So that's the fun part of it all.
I do feel like it was yesterday, though. Like the older I get, it doesn't feel that long ago. But then my kids remind me that they were born in the 2000s, some of them. So
yep. They had just watched Independence Day. They were so excited.
Yeah, definitely getting old, man.
Yeah.
Definitely getting old. But like you said, again, LETIZIA, am I saying that right?
Yeah. LETIZIA, yeah.
You like you said, the eyes, man, you could see the horror already in their face. And I love her style of art. I just think it works really well for this story. And it's a really good style for, I think, horror as well.
Yeah, she does really strong shadows, really minimalistic stuff that I think is great. It gives you there's a timelessness to it that I really like, which I think is great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of threw me off too, because as I'm reading the first portion of it, and you do get to that part where she is full of blood on her knees and they walk in, I thought she's the slasher. Or she's the one. And obviously we find out that
so did the town for a very long time.
Exactly. So you wonder if there's not that thought of everyone that looks at her and passes her by, that is she the killer?
Yep. Yeah, but we have a scene later on when she's in the grocery store and a woman walks up and just throws her iced coffee in her face.
Yeah.
But that character does come back later. We'll come back later in the series. But like that was what that person thinks. It's like one of the things I actually liked about the idea is that she went through this whole terrible experience and for years probably had people like, like think about every podcast that has gone out and in years, like, everybody's has their own version of what they think happened and who's lying and who's saying. There's probably been a pod. She even says it earlier on the thing. It's like, I don't talk to the press and especially not podcasters, because she's had people come and be like, I want to dig into what happened at the Riverton Massacre all those years again. And this idea, but she's never left this town, which is crazy because anybody else would have left and done that. And that's one of the reasons that when you read the book, you'll understand why she couldn't leave.
Okay, so we're gonna see a lot more in further issues then.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, this is like, I know you said you tamed it down. I would have loved to seen what you were originally gonna do before the so-called tamed down there, Ryan, because this is pretty brutal, man. I mean, you got the hand nailed to the wall, you got the eyeball, and then you got a body just hanging off the balcony right there of the house.
Yeah. They are not getting back their deposit. I can
exactly.
Airbnb is going to be pissed. Yeah.
I love it, man. So here we go. You can imagine them walking through, and then this is what they see. Just like a silhouette of a human being still alive. I mean, that's got to be freaky.
Yeah. I love that image of her just sitting with a shovel in her thing. And she was like, even though look back is just like, she's just sort of like completely just broken. And that's what I thought was kind of fun. It's like you come out of it and you're like, well, did she do this? Did she not? And then so there's a whole backstory that you get the intention of what she told people happened, and there's proof of what it. And so like she clearly didn't go to prison for it, so they must have come up with something. But like that doesn't necessarily mean she told them exactly what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If I walk in, there's body parts and a body hanging off the ceiling, and there's a young girl with a shovel, I think I just walked into her maybe trying to bury evidence or something. But
yeah, it's some fun stuff. But yeah, and then it was like also like, and then you have a narrator talking about sort of like, yeah, that's the other fun stuff. That's the thing that's so great about comics, right? You can just let people just start monologuing over anything. It doesn't matter what it is. That's fun. That in fact, I think I had to pull back in a few spots. Like, dude, we don't need these insanely long diatribes about the morality of people. Just let the gore speak for itself.
You know, it'd been funny because I know you're a big Todd fan, is to have like the different news stations with all the
Yep, definitely, absolutely. The talking heads. I would, if I'd done that, I would have had that one guy with the long sort of hair on the side.
Yes.
Exactly the fat one. Yeah. The one that Todd always loved to draw.
I know. I love it, man. Every time I see that, I'm like, that is so Todd, man. I absolutely love that. All right, so then we have 28 years later. So was she 16 or 18 when that took place, or is that even important?
16? No. Well,
I don't think it does. It say
she's legal drinking? She's legal. I think she has to be 18, or we've got other problems. Gotcha. So yeah, I think I have to look at the exact date on that. I think. Yeah, I'm fudgy with the numbers sometimes.
So you have all these years later. Obviously, she has a family. She's a mom. You start to figure out, like you said, although she has been able to, in quotes, move on and live what we think as a normal life, even though we're going to see that there is some repercussions of her experience where other people don't really understand, and they're treating her obviously differently. She's living a fairly normal life up to this point, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I mean, she's got a nice house. She lives in the very least. She's obviously has a very functional, good real estate agency. She's doing stuff well. Like she's doing, like she's I picture her as an alpha woman. She's the person who can compartmentalize better than anyone, and she has taken the events that happened, put those away, and has not dealt with it at all, and is basically like, I'm good. I don't want to deal with that stuff. I'm fine. But just because you say you are fine with something and you are, if you don't talk to those people and you don't deal with those issues, you don't deal with what happened, it's going to create trust issues. It's going to create intimacy issues. It's going to create sort of the way you handle chaos and the way you parent, and all those things are going to be affected by this thing that you pretend didn't happen. and are not going to therapy for, and are not admitting still have an impact on your life. And that's what I wanted to sort of illustrate in these opening pages, is like there's like a little moment, if you fast forward, when she's like sitting on the, if you go to the next page after this, when she's sitting like right here, like she still thinks about like those moments in between, you know, I hate this job, and she's sitting there and just the crack of the feet on the thing. It's like you're never gonna not remember it, but she's not, you can see she's not processing it. She's just like, it's there, and she just kind of pushes it away. And I like that stuff. I like that idea that she's literally haunted by something that she's just not gonna, she's gonna be forced to deal with here real quickly. So, and also like I'm a big fan of the American Beauty, and I just love Annette Bening's like when in that scene when she's trying to sell that house. So I literally just did my version of that, which is just like I'm gonna pay, because like the funny thing is she has. Somebody said this on a podcast that was really fun about it, is that she is basically exhibiting the idea of a perfect life. Like that is what she is like. I'm great. Look how wonderful I am. I've done it all. But and so she sells that veneer to other people. Doesn't matter how bad the house is. She presents it in the best possible light because that's what she does in her life. And I love that. That's one of the reasons she's a real estate agent, is this idea of I sell you the idea of a perfect life, whether or not it's, and taking even the thing that you look at and we're like, that's terrible. Well, look how great it could be if you just think of it this way. It doesn't change what the house is, it just changes your perspective on it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love that too. I love that.
I love that, just that little subtle thing with her eyes, how it goes from like wide to just a little bit lower. I know it's a small thing, but I just really love that.
Absolutely. And you could kind of see the, I don't know if you call it the pain or the, like you said, she's suppressing a lot, right? In order to provide this image, probably for her kids. I think a lot of parents, whether we all go through things, we probably don't want to put that on our children. I'm sure, obviously, in a much crazier way, she's doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, I think that's that little thing of like, I feel like it's like if you've ever been sitting there thinking about something and you're looking at something and then you realize you realize you're not looking at it anymore, or someone thinks you're staring at them and you're not because you're in your own head. That's kind of where I thought she was doing at that moment. She's just like sort of staring off, and it's the crunch that sort of brings her back.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we get to that scene that you were talking about, and this really opens up kind of the world that she's now experiencing because of the perception of people within that community of her because of that situation, and not knowing, actually kind of no one really knows really what happened, right?
No, they only know what she told them, and we find out later what she told them. But she, I mean, I can spoil it. It's fine. She told the police that her boyfriend at the time, Lucas, went crazy and killed everybody, and that she had to stop him and defeat him. And the evidence pointed that she was not telling, like there was enough evidence there for them to believe her. Whether that's true, it's probably up for debate. You'll see as the story goes on how much of that was true and how much of that wasn't. And why she told people that, I think, is the most important part. But that was the thing that I liked about it, was this idea of like, you know, they just like, she was when you're the only survivor, you can make up whatever you can tell people whatever. There's no one there to disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So here we go. I just thought, oh, little conversation. Nope.
Yeah. And she just takes it. She's just like so used to it, you know. She's seen Glee a lot, you know. She's a big Glee fan. Yeah.
And like you said, she takes it because I think she's just got used to this is the reaction people have, right?
Oh yeah, people hate her for it, especially this woman, who you'll find out why. But you know, like there's a really great movie called In the Bedroom that I saw a long time ago. I think by Mark or I can't remember, the guy who did Tar, and that's a story about a woman who's I think it's about this couple whose son is killed in a shooting, and the guy gets off, but he still lives in the same town, so they run into him at like a local convenience store one day, and it's just like the person that killed your son standing in front of you and gets to go around and walk around, and they don't know how to handle it. And I always like that image so much, of this idea of confronting somebody who's like, you get to walk around and just get groceries, and I'm still dealing with this horrible thing that happened. Like, these are two people who are dealing with, they both have trauma from the same experience, but they are dealing with it in very different ways.
Oh, wow. Yeah, my hair stood on my back when you said that, man. I can only imagine that feeling of walking in front of the killer of someone that you love.
Oh, yeah. I think if this woman had a gun, she would probably have used that instead of this. But the coffee was all she had.
Yeah. Luckily for her.
Yeah.
Luckily for you. All right, and then we get into some more. So here we're getting into kind of that next stage of
Yeah.
who the next folks are going to be part of the big story here.
Yeah, this is Mason and is it Samantha? Yeah. So these are sort of the two people that,
Yeah,
this is my cliche sitting at the the Overlook thing, which was not as cliche in 1996.
No, not at all.
But
Not at all.
they didn't have TikTok to look at, so you go and you look at the view and you take care of that. And so I love the idea of two people kind of going up there, both of them kind of both know why they're there. They're both bouncing around the idea. One of them's clearly like cheating on somebody and doesn't know how to handle it and is having second thoughts. And I just thought there's a lot of fun and sort of this sort of like traditional senior scene and just sort of like spin it a little bit. And then, kind of do that urban legend thing of the hook in the hand sort of situation of the idea of you're doing that with this, you're waiting for this to open, you're hoping this is going to go in one direction. And then she ends up slammed into the windshield of the car. And you're like, holy shit. Yeah,
it's brutal, man. When I saw that, I was like,
just like boom, just like lands in. And he's like, oh my God, which I thought was a nice little thing. So, yeah.
Very
nice.
I
wanted to flip it too because Mason, you find out Mason goes missing here. I was kind of sick of doing like the girl always sort of like becoming the hostage, and so I thought it would be a little bit different if you made it a guy and just have that flipped a little bit. So
absolutely, man, absolutely. I mean, can you imagine? And then we get a little glimpse back here.
A little bit of a glimpse, yeah.
A little bit of a glimpse, right? And we'll see a little bit more at the end.
Yeah. I made a thing too. She's always talking to her assistant. I think it's Marco. But you're never going to see Marco. Marco is going to be.
I love that.
I made him just like this. He's this entity in her ear. He's real. He's not fake. But I just love it. It's not like Tyler Durden or anything like that. But I just love the idea that Marco is just always heard but never seen. Yeah.
I do love that too, man. Nice touch. So here we go. Here's someone who is trying to find out some information from her past.
Yeah.
Because it could help what just took place, right? Because there's I assume some similarities, right?
Yes. I think the brutal, like in these small towns, you don't have a lot of really brutal crimes where, people are hanging from banisters or being turned into a pretzel on top of a car. And so I think whenever you're dealing with that, the idea was that he's not the police. He's actually a private investigator who's hired by the family of the missing boy, who's just like, go dig up anything you can. The cops are going to look in the normal places, see if you can find something. And he has, Ian Shell has this idea of maybe those two things are connected. Maybe there was something that happened all those years ago, the brutality, the fact that this is in the same town, we haven't had anything like that happen. And also doesn't quite believe her story. And so comes to her and is like, hey, I'd love some help trying to save some lives if you are not too inconvenienced.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite things that's in the book. It comes up in one of the later issues as to why he became a private investigator. It's my favorite story. It's probably the darkest thing I've ever written. And it's a one-page monologue that he gives that I wrote and I gave to my friend to read. And he goes, that is some disturbing stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm proud of that one. So probably his whole origin story is probably my favorite thing I've written in this book. So
I love it. I can't wait then.
Yeah.
I cannot wait then. So there is a little bit of a conversation, but it doesn't really go too far.
Yeah, she doesn't give up much. Like she's sort of if you can see even the little image, like she knows right now there's something that there's a familiarity to the death and stuff. And she's just not having it. She's not giving anything up. And I think she's a small part of her is like, man, this would be great if this is just some sort of isolated incident that has nothing to do with me and is not connected. But I think she knows real quickly that like there's a pretty good chance that these things are connected to whatever she's dealing with. So she's already formulating like, okay, I'm going to have to go deal with this.
Yeah. Can you imagine though, 28 years later, and you think, like, I don't know where she is in kind of overcoming all of the trauma that she went through. Obviously, she's still suppressing. We can see that she still has those thoughts that come up. I mean, how do you not the rest of your life think about that every once in a while? But then this situation happens, and you could just imagine reliving almost everything all over again. Because this, I would have to say, like, if someone came and showed me pictures of a murder very similar to the murders that I saw happen right in front of me, it's like all those things that you've been suppressing so long are now alive again.
Oh yeah, and I think also which is the thing that I think she would be spinning is, you know, I beat this thing. She thinks she beat it. She beat this thing. She survived. It killed everyone but me, and I'm survivor. And it's taken a big toll on my life to keep that thing buried and keep guard over it in some ways and whatnot. And I think what is even harder about that is, oh my God, if it's out or if it's happening again, did I waste my whole life like dealing with this thing, like keeping an eye on this thing, keeping this thing from getting out, and like just for me to fail at this stage? And I think that's the part that's even scarier, is this idea of like, yeah, I there's a martyrdom, I think, to that first thing of like, I beat this thing and I'm going to keep it safe and I'm going to keep it out of the world. But if it's out and doing it again, then I failed at the thing that I did, and I ended up living and sort of martyring herself in order to do that. So I think there's a part of that as well that I really like. But yeah, I think she's going. I think the minute she sees these photos, she's like, okay, yeah, I'm right back there. I'm 16 again.
Yeah, you hear a lot of people that survived really bad trauma where maybe others around them passed away, whether it's a car accident or something, and they have that survivor's guilt. Like, why was I the one that survived? Right. You know what I mean? So it's like the psychological side of everything that's going on also intrigues me as much as the story does too, because I just can't imagine going through something like that.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not fun.
I would not think so. Look at that.
Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of, it's fun because I wrote a lot of these little flash ins and stuff without really, like, I did a thing kind of like, this is like cheating a little bit, but like I wrote these things in without really knowing. I wrote to the image and not the story. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to make my future self tie all these things together. But then there was some lateness in the art. So I was actually able to go back and change them when I actually had written more of the book. So it was kind of fun to do this, but like, yeah, I wanted to play with all these, like, I liked all these, like, memento, or not memento, but like Nolan-esque flashes, like, you know, that he used to do. I thought that'd be fun to like throw in these panels that you have no concept of what you're looking at, other than just like, you know, something really bad happened in that cabin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So would you say this is her imagination?
I would say that's her memory. Flashback. I think it's probably a combination of both, honestly. It's that thing of like, you know how, like, I remember reading about this, how memory, so memory is a physical entity. It's like, it's not, people think it's electrical, it's actual physical. Like, you build memory in your brain all the time. And so that's why if you get like a major head injury and you can't remember things, it's because that part of the memory, the physical memory, has been damaged. And so, but also there's this really crazy thing where every time you access a memory, like if I say, think of your first car, right? Every time you access that memory, you actually damage it just a little bit because you activate it by doing it. And so you can actually change your memories based upon, if you go, my first car was green, you keep saying that, eventually your brain will rewire to think to do that. And so I love this idea that some of these images that she's seeing are things she's remembering. They also might be things she's imagining, things that she, like, they aren't exactly, they're her perception of what happened and maybe not exactly what happened. So, because she's a little bit, it's 20 years. I don't know about you, but I don't, if I remember a party that I went to 29 years ago, like, it's going to be a little different than what actually it looked like. So I love that we could have a little bit of that sort of unreliable narrator to it all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%. 100%. So there's a lot of back and forth. Like you said, doesn't give up a whole lot. But then she, like you said, there's a realization like, I think this is something that I need to get involved with. Yeah, because this, obviously there's the fear that this will become even more of an issue if she doesn't step in.
Oh yeah, I think she knows she can't, like, there's no like dodging this now. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm either going to deal with this or I'm not.
Yeah. I love it, man.
But she's not, but look at those eyes. Like, look at this here. Like, look at that. That's piercing right there. Everybody's irises should be that small. Yeah. Or pupils, super pupils. Yeah.
Pupils. Yeah.
But no, it was like fun stuff. Like, and also it's like fun to write her. Like, I think one of the things I liked about making Sutton the way she is like, she's tough. Like, she's not a 17-year-old girl who's traumatized. She's a 30-year-old parent who's been faking it till she makes it, kind of thing. And so I just find that character to be a little bit more fun and complicated. And so it was nice to be able to deal with that, because like, it's a big question of like, so many horror movies, it's like, oh, they beat the villain, and then like, so it's like, oh, you know, look, Freddy Krueger killed 4 of my friends, but I beat it. It's like, yeah, but you got to go to 4 funerals and you got to walk around town and tell people that a dream guy killed your friends.
Yeah.
Like, how is that going to go down? You're going to end up you're going to end up in the mental institution if you keep telling people that.
Yeah.
And so, like, what's the right answer to that? And so that's one of the things I like is that she lied about what happened. She told people that Lucas did it, and because they wouldn't believe her otherwise. So it was the only way she was going to keep. Like, if I walk down and I go, yeah, the Loch Ness monster killed 3 of my friends, they're going to lock me up too. So I love that she created this lie to sort of protect the world and protect herself from what happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So still trying to gather some information, but no luck.
Yeah, she's not real helpful.
Yeah.
And that's Lucas. Obviously looks like a real serial killer.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I I always loved, I'm a big fan of like when you do the flashback stuff and the 2 different timelines in the story. It's always so fun to me to write stories about like when you know someone's dead or you know someone was like obviously with the things are not going well. It's always fun to have characters talk about the future. Like it's like shit's going the other way and you're like, what's going to be great is we're going to get together, we're going to have kids and have a lovely life, and you're like, none of this is happening. And so like I always like that stuff.
Yeah, not so fast, buddy.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
Yep. And then we have I think my favorite line in this thing is I'm heard that bears are attracted to orgies.
Yes.
Which is scientifically true, by the way. Scientifically true.
Really? Learn something every day.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm educational. The more you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of leading up to the actual event, right?
Yeah. That's like, there was like the last great moment before everything fell apart was this idea. Look, I am playing into a little bit of the cliche of it all. The idea of like the 5 or 6 friends who go to the cabin for the weekend to drink. They literally say it, to a weekend we'll regret forever. Like, yes, you will. You are all going to regret what's about to happen. But I thought because of the nature of sort of the nonlinear storytelling, seeing a little bit of what happened, seeing what's going on, all of the people you're about to meet and all of her friends, they have their own reasons for being there. They have their own sort of backstories and who they are. So we're going to get to learn about them as we go along. And some people are there for good reasons and some people are there for bad reasons. And it's all going to sort of like fall together. But I like that idea of like, I felt like because we're doing 2 timelines, it would be okay to sort of lean in a little bit to more of the normal, not the cliche, but like the familiar, so that you wouldn't be so, because if I'm setting it in a totally different area and a different thing, it would be like a whole, like there's only so much, story you have in a 22-page comic book. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. It makes it relatable, to be honest, because we've all watched those movies.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to do this is my version of the cabin in the woods story. Like it's like a rite of passage if you like horror movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's the TH on the tree that you saw the heathen scratch in, and so that's the first sort of sign. This is where she buried him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. So she starts
digging him up. Yep.
Yeah, starts digging them up. And then all of a sudden,
there we go. Yeah. The candle thing kind of came late in the story. We were actually trying to figure out. Yeah, like I'd had an idea that it was actually like a rope at one point that you would like wrap around your hand and tie. But like it just felt like it was a lit one. It's a comic, and just like the visual of lighting the candle is just a little bit better, and it tapped into a little bit more of sort of like the seance of it all and the element of it. And it just felt like, because you're like trying to shorthand stuff for the audience, it just felt like, okay, there's something cool about the old candle and how it's lit and how it opens up and sort of brings this person back into life. And I love that she's just like, okay, I'm going to light this thing for 30 seconds and then I'm out of here. It's like, I'm going to peek in the room, but I'm not going to stay. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, my light went out.
All good.
Yeah. No, I love it. So then it does go by and here we go.
Yeah. And then it's just like, this is where it just gets fun. Like I just get to like, play with whatever, the fun, he's just fun writing. It's like, this is where you get to, everybody wants to write the crazy psychopath. And I just loved writing this fun sort of like, he's just a fun character. He really wallows in making people uncomfortable and messing with you. And I just thought that was really fun. So yeah, this is the rival of this character's called the Heathen. And, you'll get a little bit of insight into who he is and where he came from and what he wants as you go along. But it's not so much about where he came from. It's more about what purpose he serves in relationship to us. That's the thing. It's like, like people don't say where demons come from. It's like, well, they come from hell, and you get it. But like, I think there's a thing that he enjoys more. Like, it's more about what he wants and why he does what he does, as opposed to who he was or what he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always fun. I always liked just him standing over.
It's been a while. I missed you.
Yeah, just puts his fingers on her shoulder, and she's just like, look at that. That's like, look at that fix. Like, you don't give. It's easy to get. Look at that look on her face. Like, this is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, LETIZIA did such a good job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he kind of goes in, and she can't bite him for reasons that you'll find out later. That necklace is important, and sort of keeps her. They have a connection. They have a situation. So this is the fun part, right? So like when LETIZIA and I were talking about the book, one of the things that I didn't want to do is I was like, I don't want him to be Hannibal Lecter. I don't want him to be standing quietly in the corner. Hello, Clarice. I didn't want that. I wanted him to be. I love the idea. This guy has been buried in the ground in a freaking candle for 30 years. He's gonna move. He's gonna move around. He's once out. He's so elated to be out. And so I told her when she drew him, I go, just draw him always in movement. He's always sort of this way or that way. He's always sort of moving and perking and like perching. And there's a really great movie. There's a movie called, The Prophecy with Christopher Walken, and Viggo Mortensen plays the devil in it. And when you meet him, he's literally perched on the top of a wall, sitting like hunched over, because they if they're angels, they perch like birds. And I love that imagery of this idea of just like they're just sort of there. And so I wanted him to be moving and spinning around. He kind of teleports around. He's always there and always sort of spinning. And I just thought there was something different and unique about that. Give him energy as opposed to quiet menace, because I've seen quiet menace all the time. So, but she went pretty far with it. She made him dancing and sort of wandering out, which is kind of what I like, because it's like he's a more of a puckish bad guy than he is sort of a Jason or Michael. He's a little bit more fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that idea too.
Yeah. And then he gets some glee in the fact that he realizes, oh, you thought I was not in here, so there's something else out there that's worse than me, and that makes him very happy.
Yeah. And we kind of get a glimpse.
A little bit, yeah. You get a little bit of a glimpse of sort of the bone pit, as they called it. Yeah. That's Mason in his little cage, and that is all the things that have come before him. So
amazing, huh?
Yeah. So we'll get to see more where those came from and who's holding him and why and all that stuff.
Incredible, man. I love it, Ryan.
Thanks. It's fun. It's a fun series. I really enjoyed writing it. I'm looking forward to the next few days when it comes out, and hopefully it's got some nice twists and turns, I think, and there's some really horrible lines of dialogue that are actually going to make people merry and happy, hopefully. But yeah,
hopefully, right? I was going to see when issue 2 comes out. So
I'm sorry. I wish I had the news. I do not know.
No, I'll find out right now. That way we could pull that up as well. That way people could check it out. I got it right here. And it's showing me issue 4, issue 3. Where's issue 2 at? It's already showing
19th? Is it the 19th?
Oh, here we go.
Sorry. The people at home are like, I'm so glad they did this.
The 22nd.
There we go. Yeah.
On sale the 22nd. So in a couple more
weeks.
Just
in time for Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll go ahead and share the screen too, just so you can see this cover. This is cover B. It's insane looking, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it looks crazy. Here we go. Look at this cover, man.
Yeah, that's I think it's by Trevor Henderson.
Yeah, Trevor Henderson. Yeah. So here is this cover right.
I like that one too. Joshua Hickson. Yeah, I love that. That was my first image for the book. I actually
was it.
Yeah, Josh came in late on the game because we had some deadline issues, and Josh was I was like, hey, I've got this idea of her kind of redoing the first one over again. I was like, what about that image of her with like all the body parts on the ground and just having the heathen right behind her? And he was like, he drew that in like a day, and I was like, dude, that's perfect. I just loved the look in her, and like, yeah. I love images like I love to try and find that image that like sort of like it killed everyone. Like if you can make a visual representation of the title,
Yeah.
and I thought there was something really cool about that. We just keep going back to her and the shovel, and I'm a little obsessed with it. So
yeah, I love it, man. Both those covers are crazy.
Yeah,
they're awesome, man. Well, Ryan, I mean, congratulations, man. I absolutely love it. Obviously, I'm a big fan of yours with Rogue Sun and everything else that you've done around Power Rangers, but it's really cool to read this one, and I had a blast. I'm definitely hooked now because there's a lot of things that I'm waiting for, especially based off of what you told us tonight. So everybody get over there. Like I said, I'll put the lunar code in there as well. That way you could go to your comic book shop. Issue 1 is out. It went to second print, I understand.
Yep.
It's always a good sign. I think any creator wants a second and a third print, so that's good.
Oh, absolutely. And we got a cover by John Pearson, who did Infernals with me. So he did a cover. It was fun. I was like, hey, you want one more time? He's like, yeah. I was like, thanks, dude. Yeah.
I love it, man. Well, I mean, since we have you here, what else is going on with you? Is there anything else that you're kind of working on that you're able to share yet, or?
Well, Rogue Sun is like I said, Rogue Sun Medieval Spawn comes out. That's not out yet, right? It comes out, I think, sometime like next week. I think it's next week. So Rogue Sun Spawn 30 comes out next week. And then Ninja Turtles, I'm currently writing the 3rd installment of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossover. So issue 2 of that, I think, just came out. Issue 3, I think, comes out in a few weeks as well. And so that's what's going on. I think the trade for my run at DC, the Atom Project, just came out. So
which was awesome, by the way.
Thank you, man. That was scary, man. I'll be honest. Like they were like, hey, you want to? Well, I had never written a book in DC proper before. Yeah. Like I'd written something before that. The last thing I wrote in DC proper was before the New 52. Like that was a long time ago. That was like my first comic. So I started with Batman, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do all this thing, and then I get to come back and do But doing Captain Atom and the Atoms and everything, and getting to write, to touch into what was going on with Absolute Power was really fun and scary.
Absolute Power, the All In, everything that's going on with Justice League, all that stuff.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So so that just came out. I think that's it. And then if you want to catch up on Rogue Sun Volume 5, Volume 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Volume 5 I think came out. Called Noxious, which is good. So and that will teach you up with everything and lead you into where we're at now. So that's where we're at.
Nice. And then I know you're unfortunately not going to make it to New York Comic Con. So anybody out there, I think you were planning, but obviously something came up.
Yeah, last minute.
Other cons
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, is there any other cons that you plan on doing for the remainder of the year, or is this kind of?
I just did LA Comic Con last 2 weeks ago or something like that. But yeah, nothing. New York Comic Con soon is sort of like the end of the season. But yeah, I'm looking at some stuff hopefully in the new year. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put all your socials down there, all the links to everything we talked about. But Ryan, it's good to see you again, my friend. I really appreciate you coming on, man. Congratulations on another awesome title. And maybe at the end of 5, when everything kind of comes out and we get all the reveals that I think we're about to get, we could have you back on and we could talk about it.
Absolutely, man. I'll definitely come on and you can tell me where I went wrong.
I don't think so, man. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But Ryan, I'll respect your time, man. I know it's late, but I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. You're always welcome. I always enjoy our conversation, and I wish you nothing but the best for the remainder of the year.
Likewise, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Everybody, everything's going to be below. Get out there and get It Killed Everyone But Me right now, issue 2 on the 22nd. Check it out. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.